You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Hello.
Hello.
So here we are with Love Your Shelf, episode 2. Even though it's been a couple weeks since the last one.
We like to keep everyone on the edge of their seat.
Exactly. Keep them wanting more. That's our motto.
That's right.
About everything in life. Can you just do a little more? We'll see.
We just walk around saying that.
Exactly. About everything. So that means, I've got several things to talk about because it's been a while since we've talked. But we also have a busy day, so I'm not going to be...
We'll have to condense...
expanding on all of them. Yeah. Okay. We'll keep it...
We'll keep them wanting more for next time.
Exactly. I'm just going to give a list of names of books.
Okay, and then keep them wanting more.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you anything about any of them. So, I'll start with the heaviest one.
Okay.
Both in terms of... physical weight and maybe import for human history.
Ah.
Yeah. So there's a book that's just come out called The Dawn of Everything, A New History of Humanity. Mm. So that's not a small topic to tackle.
No pressure there.
Yeah. So this is a book about... Let's see, how can I put it? It's reconsidering and looking at analyzing the historical data, like from thousands of years.
Okay.
And looking at previous civilizations and reimagining a lot of what we thought we knew about historic and prehistoric civilizations.
Interesting.
And so it's archaeology, anthropology, and then looking at how potentially these civilizations were actually more sensitive, sympathetic, more advanced than what we give them credit for.
Sure.
And so they're also, in doing that, they're looking at, so why do we have this lens of these prehistoric civilizations, or even just, before the 18th century? Why do we imagine them as being barbaric?
Just dum-dums. Yeah.
That's the term they use. How did you know? That they're like childlike,
sure, primitive,
and what these authors, David Graeber is one of them, is trying to prove, or I so far I'm convinced it sounds right.
Yeah.
That really it wasn't like that, but it was sort of a story crafted in the 18th century with Enlightenment and that kind of thing, putting forth for future generations to think that they were, prior to that time, inferior to what was going on with the Enlightenment.
Yes.
And so it's really also what they're leading to in the book, and it's 700 pages. A little bit of, I wouldn't say a slog, but it's a little bit of work. And so what they're, hoping to point to for the future is, where do we go from here? How do you take the new understanding of what humanity was into the future? So really fascinating.
Woo, yeah. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
And really cool, though. I mean...
Yeah. It feels like it's just sort of like the tip of the iceberg, and there's going to be a lot more of this being studied.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm picking up from it. And I haven't done a lot of any research into what other people are saying about this, so that will be kind of the next step to see if this is, what are other academics saying about this? Are these guys considered Fruit Loops, or are they really...
Is there some merit? Yeah.
Yeah. You never know.
You really don't.
And I feel the same way.
Saying that.
I feel the same way about this next book because I have, read lots of like contemporary science history and that kind of stuff that is made for a broader readership than an academic one, right?
Okay.
You know, but there's lots of good stuff out there.
Yeah.
But there's also some charlatans and quacks and all that. And so because we've been talking about the blue zones, and we've got this discussion club, you know, talking about these places where people live longer and what are the threads that connect them. I've ordered some more books for our collection about that kind of topic.
That's great.
And so I ordered a book called The Science and Technology of Growing Young by Sergey Young. See what I did there?
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, so clever. And I've also just started this, and it's this guy kind of like so many tech people do these days. They kind of set themselves up as, these so forward thinking and they're disruptors and, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about this. So take it with a grain of salt, but we're going to look at it and see what they have to say. And I've got a few more. I've also ordered some more cookbooks and things about diet and stuff like that are related to the blue zones.
That's great.
So there's a grab bag out there of stuff, and we'll have to sort through it to see what we think about it. But
what to hold on to.
Exactly.
So to speak.
And yeah, exactly. And then speaking of another sort of, I wouldn't say soft science or maybe soft science, you could call it. Susan Orlean, who recently wrote the library book, has written a new book called On Animals. And so it's sort of a collection of her thoughts and previous writings and profiles that she's done about different animals. Cool. And so I'm an animal lover, and I'm also kind of fascinated by how we relate to them as humans. And it's always fascinating to me too, like which ones are domesticated or which ones we project, like, you know, love and emotions and human emotions onto, and then which ones are the bad and the evil or whatever. There's been quite a few books about that subject recently. But she's just a really great writer.
Cool.
And so I'm enjoying kind of seeing it through her perspective, because she has a really great way of like pulling together a lot of different threads and, like, you know, jumping over here and going over there and then making it into a coherent, kind of cohesive piece.
Cool.
And so it kind of runs the gamut from she has chickens in her own backyard, and then she meets and talks to a woman who kept 23 tigers in her backyard.
Oh,
and
super chill.
Yeah, something that her neighbors didn't know about until one of them got out.
Oh no!
Can you imagine?
You're just like looking out your back window,
and
sipping your coffee in the morning, and a tiger walks by.
Yeah,
I would think I was hallucinating.
I 100% would believe that I was hallucinating.
Yeah,
I would probably call somebody.
I was about to say, if I were
come
home
pick me up.
alone, I would have to call a person.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just to be on the safe side, don't go outside to test your hypothesis, right?
For sure.
So you think you're hallucinating.
Yeah. If it eats me, it's real. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just pretend that it's for real.
That is nuts, though. 23? Yeah. That's a little excessive. We all saw Tiger King. That was excessive.
Yes. Yes. Okay. They're not meant to be.
Yeah.
Caged that way.
Oh, goodness.
So it's, I recommend anything that she writes.
Very cool.
And so there's lots to go on there. And then another recent book, this was a National Book Award nominee, as for her poetry in 2020, has written her first fiction novel called The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. And it's Honorée Fanon Jeffers is her name.
Cool.
And there's comparisons to Coates and I think Jessamine Ward. I think Sing Unburied Sing. I'm thinking that's Jessamine.
Okay.
But
okay.
anyway, so and Homegoing, which is one that we recently talked about.
Yeah.
And so I just started it, but so far I'm very intrigued, and it sort of seems to be taking this the concepts that were proposed by the scholar W.B. Du Bois about the problem of race, and then creating characters in a fictional context for it. And so excited to, but I just got started on that.
Nice.
So we'll see how it goes. But so far I would recommend it. And then we have talked about Yellowjackets, which is a series, and I came across a list of recommendations. You know how they do, like, if you liked watching Yellowjackets, you're going to want to read these books. And so I picked them up.
Nice.
And there's good, and it's mixed. It's a mixed bag, but if you like it, I think, it's all
worth exploring. Sure.
And then I think there's a couple of watch-alikes there, or a watch-alike to the Yellowjackets. So if you're not familiar, Yellowjackets is series. The first year, or the first season, just ended. And it's about this high school girls soccer team that's going to a championship game, and they're flying in a plane. Plane crashes in the mountains, and nobody comes to rescue them, and they're out there for 18 months.
Oh.
And they run amok.
Yep. And is Melanie, oh gosh, what's her last name?
Linsky.
Yes, she's in it.
Melanie Linsky
plays one of the main. I didn't realize she was in it. I saw her in something else. No, I saw her, I saw an interview with her. Did not realize she's from New Zealand. So she started talking, and I was like, what? Anyway.
Yeah, she was in, I think it's the first film Peter Jackson did.
Really?
With Kate Winslet, and it's called Heavenly Creatures. And
yes. And then I remember her from Ever After. Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
I loved that movie when I was I still love that movie. What am I saying?
Yeah, that's a good movie.
It's a good movie. But anyway, you've really talked it up. I'm interested.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Showtime?
It is probably Showtime.
Okay.
Maybe it's HBO. I think it's HBO.
Oh, cool.
And so it is wild. It's a ride. There's a lot going on. If you watch the first episode, you're going to get a pretty good picture
of what's in store.
Great. So if that, doesn't strike your fancy at that point,
move along.
It's only going harder from there. So. But I enjoyed it, and it did remind me of the another show that was from last year that we've talked about, I think, called The Wilds, and that is also a bunch of teenage girls crashing in a plane, but that one is on an island, and it's a little more like Lost.
Yeah, that was kind of that's one I still want to watch, but
yeah, it's good, but it's just very different from this one. And so some of these readalikes, I'll kind of talk about how they tie into it.
Sure.
So one of the readalikes is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. And it was described in a review I saw as a female Lord of the Flies. And so it's...
The title is very appropriate then.
Yes, exactly. And so basically... in that novel, there is an illness strikes.
Doesn't it always?
Yeah. There is a lot of, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about, do I want to read stuff about pandemics or not?
I know.
And really, I think where I've drawn the line is if it's just a pandemic of some kind, like we saw with Station 11.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see contemporary stuff that's talking about the stuff that we're living through today.
Right. No,
the exact precise thing.
Exactly. Because that was the thing with Station 11, because I've gone back, I've been listening to it since we finished the HBO series, just to kind of be reminded. And I'm realizing with Station 11, like, yeah, it is really dreary and dark and sad and all that, but, 98% of the population didn't die off or whatever it was. We've lost a lot of people. It's awful, but civilization hasn't totally collapsed. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's like, well, at least there's that.
Yeah.
So
Yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Again, crying again.
Yeah. So these do go a lot further than what we're dealing with. But I think that I started watching the most recent season of the morning show. Uh-huh. And they do that because their filming was interrupted because of COVID. And so they incorporate it because it's about a news show.
Yeah.
And they incorporate it as it's like day by day happening. And I quit watching the series.
That's what I was about to say. I already watched this. I watched this season.
Exactly.
In real time, in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did kind of feel like, not right now. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, agreed.
But these that I'm talking about, or a couple of these,
very different.
Yeah, very, very different.
Cool.
So, don't worry about that part. So in this one, it's a school for girls that's kind of, they're put in quarantine. Mm-hmm. And it starts with, like, the teachers die off.
Ooh.
And then something weird happens to the students. And then they're actually, like, quarantined on their own, cut off from everybody else in the world.
Got it.
And so, and it's a disease or some kind of thing called the tox.
Ooh.
And so, one of the girls goes missing, and that starts the main plot of the story.
Cool.
So yeah,
I'm into
intriguing.
That.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then another one is called I Am Still Alive by Kate Alice Marshall. And it kind of reminded me of The Bear by Andrew Krivak that we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah, vaguely remember.
Where there's a girl who is off the grid by herself alone, mm-hmm. and it's her relationship with her father, which is what The Bear is as well. But in this case, the girl is in her father's cabin, but he's not with her. And then the cabin burns down. Oh. And so she's, got to find shelter before the cold kills her, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very similar, but tonally very similar in terms of kind of the basic eye shape of it, like with the bear.
Yeah.
But tonally very different. Mm-hmm. And she finds out that someone has killed her father, and she knows who it is, and she's gonna get revenge.
I was about to say vengeance.
Yes. So that's interesting. I'll put it that way.
Cool. Okay.
Another one is called God Shot by Chelsea Beaker, and I picked it up because I saw a little blurb about it that said, its witchy gothic tones are sure to appeal to anyone spellbound by Yellowjackets' battered and bloodied cottagecore aesthetic.
Whoa.
I have to say that when I was first heard the term cottagecore...
I was about to say, can we just do an entire podcast on that?
Yes.
And what that is?
Yes. That we have to do that because... I have been kind of fascinated by it, and there's like a whole, it's huge on social media. Uh-huh. I don't know that I'm into it, mm-hmm. but when we were doing the hygge mm-hmm. tea party, and hygge is this Danish term for cozy, comfortable, fuzzy socks, reading a book by the fire.
Why
it's
is
like a
fuzzy
term.
Socks? I was gonna say fuzzy socks when you said that. Why is
that
the first thing? Anyway,
that's a big part of it. Apparently.
Yes.
And so we have a party, an annual party here mm-hmm. at the library where we celebrate hygge style. Mm-hmm. And while we were decorating for it, I was talking to everybody about like what I was wanting the decoration to look like. And I said, cottagecore is what I want. And everybody was like, okay, yeah, I got it.
I was about to say, I've never heard that, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Sure, yeah. So, and it is a little bit hard to describe, but it's a little bit like hygge, where it's just like kind of the description is always kind of like a stream of consciousness, list of things, but it's like not cluttered, but lived in.
Yes.
It's not like untouchable. Yes. It's warm and cozy.
Like I would imagine, like kind of eclectic in the decor.
Yeah. Everything is very comfy.
Yes.
And cottage.
Fluffy.
Yes. Maybe like flowers. Mm-hmm. Lots of plants. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing.
Yep, I'm into it.
Tea and cookies and stuff. Yes. I don't know, but
if talking about that on a day like today, what are we doing here?
Below freezing outside. Yeah.
We gotta go. Sorry.
Well, we did have, after we decorated for the tea party, we had so many people ask if we were going to leave it up.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people everybody felt like that.
Yeah, if they felt it's very warm and inviting, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And so, but the cottagecore aesthetic in Yellowjackets is if that cottage was then left to fester and rot for 20 years.
And again, I was about to say, I really like this juxtaposition going on.
Yes. And so in Godshot, the book, there is one thing that caught me about it is we were just recently talking about squirrels. And we were talking about this book. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm going all over the place with this review, but it really needs it because it just to give you like my perspective on what this book is.
Yes.
So we're looking at a children's book about. Do you remember the name of the squirrel?
It's called The Secret Life of Squirrels.
Is it Peanut?
His name is Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut, the squirrel, and for some reason, in my twisted, dark mind, I was reminded of mouse taxidermy. Because there are a couple of, and squirrel taxidermy too. Because the pictures in the children's book about Mr. Peanut, it's a real squirrel, but it's like posed with these little miniature scenes and stuff. So you can't immediately tell this is a real live squirrel.
It could be a taxidermied squirrel.
I don't think so.
It's not, but it could. I immediately know why you could think that.
And it's in like little miniature scenes. So, it's like the squirrel at a table with little cups
like it
and stuff.
looks staged, but it's not. This woman just like takes a million photographs and finds the
puts these miniatures out for her squirrels to play with.
Yeah.
So, but it reminded me of a scene in a movie where a character has a taxidermy squirrel, and then another film that has this whole collection of taxidermied mice. Well, in Godshot, it's about a young girl, teenage girl, and her grandmother ends up taking care of her. And her grandmother has a taxidermy mouse collection.
Oh, no.
And
isn't that just the last thing you want to see?
I just thought how, within the space of 2 or 3 days, how many different squirrel, rodent, taxidermy things am I going to come across?
And does it mean something? Like, should you pick up a new hobby or not?
I am 100% not picking up the hobby of taxidermied mice or squirrels. But anyway. So Godshot is a little bit more, it's a little rougher, and there's like a religious cult involved and stuff like that, but definitely in the same vein as what we've been talking about. Another one is called The Grace Year by Kim Liggett, and it's a YA novel. And in this fictional place, all of the women or girls are told that they have this power over men.
They're told that they have it, or they actually have it?
They're told that they have it, and then they're like pitted against each other, and that, you know, once they reach a certain age, they're banished because of this power that they have. So it's really wild. I haven't finished it, but this one seems to be focusing like on the relationships between the girls and women and how those can become twisted. And that's a big part of Yellowjackets. So I can see why they're making those
totally
connections.
Yeah.
Because at first, you know, the girls, they're a team, they're a soccer team in that show, and they care about each other and they're working together, and that disintegrates pretty quickly.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And then I just have a couple more. One is called We Run the Tides by Vinda LaVita. Obviously, this theme is very popular these days. So there's a lot out there if this interests you. This one takes place in San Francisco, and the main characters are Eula B. and Maria Fabiola.
Love it.
I mean, if those two aren't going to be best friends, then I don't know.
Eula B.
Yes. And so they potentially witness something terrible happening. Not potentially, possibly.
Okay.
And then it kind of tears the community apart and contests the two of them.
Ooh.
So it's very suspenseful. But again, it's about, you know, female relationships. I think that's where that's coming from. So all of those novels, a couple of them are YA, the rest are not really categorized, but they are about younger women and both their power and their tribulations. So all of them
up, man.
Yeah. So move on to some things that we've been watching aside from Yellowjackets, because it's done. The last episode is up, so
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it.
You can binge it. You don't have to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So another series that I binged when I was out sick for a couple days is Archive 81.
Oh yes.
And people keep talking about it. Like I was at dinner the other night and somebody was bringing it up. It is got some notes of Lost, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
Like there's a mystery that you need to, you know, examine and uncover. And
I mean, it's the kind of mystery where I think I told you, I did not know where they were going with it, which I liked about Lost. I mean,
because you know, at first is it psychological? Is there really something happening? Is it supernatural? Is it, you know,
is it aliens?
I
don't know. I mean, it was wide open as far as what was going on. And it's another one of those in this, like, they're really feeding us the stuff with the 90s. Yes.
Yellowjackets, this, several other things recently that take place. Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson takes place in the 90s. So I'm just eating it up. For one thing, great soundtracks. I love it. But in Archive 81, it's about a man who has lost his family, and he lost his family as a child, and he's now an adult. And he fixes or
repairs old damaged video and cassette. Is it only videotapes or cassette tapes too?
Yeah, he's restoring video mostly, I think.
Yeah.
But old, out of date stuff, and he's digitizing it and bringing and like repairing it. And he gets asked to work on this collection, but he has to go out to this isolated sort of bizarro house
in the middle of I mean,
in the middle,
but I can't.
It's really in the middle of nowhere, and he's supposed to be all by himself. Finds out that he's not.
Yeah.
But and it is. There were some a couple of minor problems with it. One of the actresses is not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. But
otherwise. Yeah, I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it and I binged it. I'll say that. And
yes. I wanted to see where they were going to take it.
Same. And sure. I'm still, and they did end it on a note where I was kind of like, maybe it's going to continue. See what's going to happen. Yeah.
But it wouldn't have to. Like, it wasn't like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You could continue watching it, but if they never make any more, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I'm okay. Yeah. I have to ask, though, would you have taken this job? I mean, they offer him $100,000 to be up there alone for, until he gets the job done.
Well, that brings up a great question, because in this show and in a couple of others that I've seen recently, I'm like, these people need to ask more questions.
I know. Thank you.
I would not just be like, oh, you want me to go to this secluded house?
Yeah.
For what reason?
Yeah, and also,
if you can tell me the reason, sure, maybe I might do that.
Eventually, when he does ask the questions after doing a bunch of other stuff, he's given answers. I mean, it's a little begrudgingly, but anyway.
Yeah.
I was also just like, dude, it's $100,000. Just put your head down and get the job done, and then
worry about your hallucinations or whatever.
I don't know.
Worry about the person that's stalking you through the woods. It's fine.
Yeah, that was a little,
not really stalking, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
don't want to give a whole lot away, but
it was very mysterious, and I enjoyed it.
It's like there was a little bit of with the kind of hallucinatory quality. You could see that it was like David Lynch light.
Yeah, totally.
Like not heavy David like Lynch that.
Light. L-I-T.
Yes, L-I-T. And an oldie, Watcher in the Woods is like an old favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Probably nobody's ever seen that, but it was definitely like something just creepy, atmospheric. Atmospheric, I think, is part of it. And so, I don't know, there's some films are managed to keep that up even when the character is questioning and interrogating the problems. But in this one, they just chose to have him be kind of blank and vague. And he's not... It makes it more dreamlike, I think. Because he doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, why do I have to do this? And then there are a couple of other times when he does some things that's like, a reasonable person wouldn't do that,
Right.
So another thing I've been watching is Ozark. And it's on season 4. It's on Netflix. The season 3 ended on a real big cliffhanger, shocking moment.
I only know this because of being in the room for some of these big moments.
Yeah.
Well, Nick's been watching it.
Right.
So I just walk by and go, ah!
What? And I watched the first episode, but without giving anything too much away, probably. The main couple, they're, I think if you have any idea of pop culture, you kind of have an idea of what's going on with this couple in Ozark, as they've kind of been drawn into this criminal activity. And they're asked to do something so wildly impossible that I just kind of ended the episode and was like, ugh, what kind of ridiculous shenanigans are they going to have to get into? And it reminds you a little bit of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Where it just, can't get crazier than that, and then it gets crazier than that.
Nick was explaining some of it to me. And explaining. This is my very introverted husband, going on.
Yeah.
But at the end, I was just like, I know that these people are in it for the money, but when do you ever get to enjoy that money? When do you... why is this worth it? I don't know.
I mean, that's a theme, from like The Godfather and all of that stuff.
But like you said, it just kept building and building, and it's crazy. It's entertaining, but it's crazy.
Yeah, and it was just like, I don't know if I'm down for more of this.
Yeah.
Just because that show, I think more than some of the other ones, really seems to be trying to be like gritty realism.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's like, no, this could not possibly.
Right.
Could not possibly get out of that.
Would you say we started this road with Weeds?
and
then it built with Breaking Bad, like the next one.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
because I liked Weeds.
I did too.
When it starts off very like small time, but then she gets pulled into the craziest
like
stuff.
At the beginning, you're like, I could see myself as her, and then it gets
And so, and I don't think I even watched the last season of that.
I don't think I did either. I don't remember.
So I don't know if that's what's happening with Ozark or what, but that was just the feeling that I had after that first episode of like, ugh, now what are they going to have to do?
Yeah.
And they also have insubordinate kids, which I can't take the bratty kids.
I was commenting on that too.
I don't know why. That's worse to me
Listen to your mother, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Shut up.
Oh my gosh. And also, Laura Linney is like frightening to me. I mean,
if that's your mom and she's telling you with all seriousness,
whatever she says.
Yeah. Don't mess with her.
I asked Nick if I said who would you say is like more of a quote unquote bad guy? Jason Bateman's character or Laura Linney's character? And he said Laura Linney is definitely more Slytherin. And I really liked that. I was like,
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Bateman is just, he kind of gets them into the problem, and then he works through it or whatever.
Yeah.
But
seems a little more,
she really seems to be like
driven by it, kind of. Yeah.
Whew, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And then so speaking of driven and strong women, I watched The Tragedy of Macbeth on Apple Plus.
How was it? Yeah.
It's Frances McDormand and directed by Joel Cohen, and Denzel Washington, plays the lead. I just wasn't that interested in it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's okay.
But Macbeth has never been my favorite.
I was about
play.
to say it's not like I pretty much wanted to watch it because of what it is and who was in it.
Yeah.
But it's also like 3 hours long or whatever.
Yeah.
So
there was a point where I just kind of drifted away and started cleaning the kitchen and stuff.
Yeah.
So, maybe if I was paying attention to it and was in a different frame of mind.
Yeah. Or even like in a theater.
Yes, where you're a little more hostage to it.
I have to look at this. Yeah.
Yeah. But it just didn't do anything new for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But now something that did catch my eye, and I don't even know how I feel about it, but it was new.
Oh my goodness.
It's also on Apple Plus. It's called Servant.
Oh.
And it's a series by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
And Lauren Ambrose, who is from 6 Feet Under, and Rupert Grint from Harry Potter.
Yeah, which he's like the one that hasn't really done much since the Harry Potter days.
Right, exactly.
So good for him.
And she hasn't done much since 6 Feet Under. And but they're both great. If there is some weird background noise, please don't think that we are
hurting anyone.
It's almost like we're in some sort of like Dickensian mental institution, because we're next door to the vaccine clinic,
and
it's the kids' hour.
Yep.
So we always end up doing this on Friday afternoons when the kids are screaming the most.
They've got real strong opinions about getting shots.
And it might not be audible. Hopefully it's not. But if there is screaming in the background
for us,
you do learn to try to, block it out. But it's a lot. Yeah. But kind of fitting for what this show is about. Right from the very first episode, the father character visits the baby that's like a baby in the crib and cries. And it turns out that the baby is a reborn doll.
Oh.
Like a puppet.
Oh.
For a mom who has dissociated and doesn't realize that her baby died.
What?
And
okay, keep going. I need to unpack what you just said.
Yeah.
But keep going.
And so they hire a nanny to care for the baby puppet.
Okay, I want that job.
And but as soon
I'm
as
like, yeah, it's asleep.
It's a very easy job. But there's something going on. And I've only watched a couple of episodes, but because it was just too weird to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to binge it because I do feel like I would...
You'll start going a little crazy.
Yeah, I'd be twitchy after watching that. So the nanny, as soon as the nanny's hired, she immediately starts acting as if the doll is real too.
Oh.
And so it's like, is the father the one that thinks that this is a doll and everybody else is, so yeah, it's
okay. Because I went and watched the trailer for it because it was like being shown to me, advertised.
Yeah.
And I watched the trailer and it was one of those trailers that I just like couldn't figure out what it was about, and that's probably why.
Yeah. They don't want to show you that part.
Yeah,
but it does happen very early on.
Yeah, I'm like glad to know that you're not.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler or anything. I wouldn't say. Goodness.
So, yeah, that seems like it'd be up your alley.
That's your cup of tea.
Yeah. And then,
very
there you go.
Specific cup of tea. But
it is
they've got it for
specific.
you. Yeah.
And then on a lighter note, there's also on Apple Plus. You can tell I was just kind of going through what's on here. Is the After Party, and it's a new series. I think there's 4 or 5 episodes.
Okay.
And Tiffany Haddish plays a detective.
Okay, yeah.
But like kind of a not great detective.
Yeah.
And Dave Franco plays like a pop star singer guy who's super duper famous, and then he goes to his high school reunion and meets all these people that they knew from high school. They all go back to his house for the after party, and he gets murdered he gets killed.
Okay,
he is dead. Tiffany Haddish comes in and is interviewing all of the people at the party. And each episode of the series is based on one or focuses on one different character.
I like that.
And now, they touch on other things too, but so it's a little bit like Rashomon, which is like the kind of started that whole idea of like everybody has a different perspective on the crime or whatever. Yeah. So they all have like the same night, but their experience and retelling of it is all different.
Cool.
And so and it's funny.
I'll have to check that one out.
It's got Ike Barinholtz, Ilana Glazer, lots of and then a super positive, fun one is Getting Curious with Jonathan Van Ness.
I started it on my lunch break the other day. I was really sad to leave.
It is super cute.
It is.
And JVN is like the most adorable person. Yeah. And so
I wish I could call him when I'm like feeling sad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfectly describes him as a person. Or them as a person.
Yes.
And then on HBO there is Bridget Everett. She starts in a new series called Somebody Somewhere, and she plays a woman who has had kind of a rough time, but she gets pulled into this like musical theater thing. I've only seen like the first 2 episodes. It's directed by Jay Duplass, who's done a bunch of stuff. But she's funny, but she's playing kind of a straight role. And and kind of a sad sack. And so far, I think it's going to be really good.
Cool. I haven't even, that doesn't sound familiar, so I'll have to check that out.
And I'm going to kind of rattle off the last couple of them just because we do have to go open up our escape room.
Escape room time.
But 1971, the year that music changed everything, is also on Apple Plus.
Cool.
And it opens up, the first episode is about, or the first part of it is about Kent State and Neil Young.
Oh.
And so it's about, protest and politics and all of it, but it's focused on the music of that time. So, yeah, it's great. And then I recently rewatched Maniac, because we've been talking about it a lot, which is on Netflix, and it's Jonah Hill and Emma Stone play the two main characters. And it's even better than I remember. I really enjoyed it a lot more this time.
It makes me want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Cool.
But there's these ad buddies where it's like, if you, like Emma Stone wants to buy a ticket on a train or something, it's a ticket on a train, and she doesn't have any money, so she gets an ad buddy, and the person goes with you and then just reads advertisements of things to you. Yep. It's hilarious.
I mean,
and bizarre.
Yep.
And almost seems like that could be something that happened.
I know.
But so that kind of gives you like a sense of what the reality is in this universe that they have created. But really good, funny
I had forgotten about
series.
that.
And then The Gilded Age just came out on HBO.
Yes, it did.
And it's the American Downton Abbey by Julian Fellows.
But I'm not mad about it.
No, it's good. And it's gorgeous to watch. Mm-hmm. And there's only 2 episodes out, and I've only watched 1.5. But the first episode is like an hour and a half long. It's almost feature length.
Like a little movie.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
So it's about New York in the late 1800s. And
somehow everything is more grand than it was in Downton Abbey.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's far beyond the manor house in Downton Abbey. Yeah, it's the American more money version of that. You know?
Shinier,
just crazy,
bigger, better. Yeah.
And then finally, I just want to mention a thing that I came across on social media about this 8-year-old boy who wrote his own book and bound it and published, self-published and did his own binding. And then, without his parents knowing, he went and put it on the shelf in his library. And they went after they found out that he did this. Yeah. So they went back and the book wasn't there. And so they talked to the librarian, and the librarian had found it and cataloged it. And now the book has holds on it for years.
Oh my goodness! That is such a heartwarming story.
Isn't it? And they gave him a special prize.
That is so cool.
He's writing another one, obviously. And so, anyway, I just thought that was such a super cute story that I wanted to mention it. Yeah.
What a great ender.
Yeah. And so on that note, thankfully, at this very moment, there's no screaming children.
Yes. Now that
so we don't have to have that in the background of talking about this heartwarming kid in the library. Yes. Yeah. So we'll wrap it up and go jump in the escape room, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.